Chapter 1 whispers beneath the dune. See, there is a silence older than stars, buried beneath the sands of a dying world. Tatooine. Twin suns blaze like the eyes of ancient gods. The wind does not speak in words, but in riddles of heat and dust and time. And in the stillness between gusts, a whisper curls. Anakin, he was not born, he was shaped, molded from mystery. No father, no name beyond a slave's, only a mother, Shmi, and the hard hands of Watto's chain. The boy's laughter cracked like lightning through the junkyards, but his eyes were old. He dreamed of stars, not as stories, but as places. He built machines, like memories. He flew without learning. He heard voices no child should. The Force had touched him, but whether in blessing or curse, no one knew. Then they came, Jedi ghosts from ancient scripture. A woman cloaked in elegance, a warrior named Qui-Gon, a Padawan named Obi-Wan. They saw him, and the Force stirred. Midi-CHLORIANS. They said, a concentration beyond reckoning, perhaps the highest ever recorded, perhaps the chosen one. The temple would have denied him. Too old, too angry, too dangerous. But Qui-Gon defied them. He saw what others feared, and the Sith, long thought extinct, returned more. A creature of rage and silence. His blade split. The sand and blood ran. Qui-Gon fell. Obi-Wan rose, and the boy was taken. He left his mother behind, a decision that would curse him forever. He left the sand behind, but the sand never left him. The Jedi did not see the storm. They saw a child, but the child was a door, a gate to something ancient, something ravenous. He was not ready. They were not ready. And beneath the dunes of Tatooine, the silence remembers. It whispers still. Chapter 2 The Illusion of the Light Coruscant. A world without sky, a city forged in steel, crowned in fog. Every breath echoes in durasteel halls. Every whisper lost beneath repulsive screams and Senate lies. Here the Jedi Temple rises like a blade aimed at heaven, a monument to peace. But peace that has already begun to rot. Anakin stands beneath it, small in shadow, wrapped in new robes stitched not from comfort, but from control. They named him Padawan, but not brother. They offered discipline, but not trust. And still he smiled, obedient, curious, but the anger had not gone. It simply learned to sleep. Obi-1, newly scarred by grief, tried to mold him into a Jedi, not with love, but with duty. He did not see that the boy learned differently, not by rules, but by need. Not through calm, but through fear. Fear of loss, fear of silence, fear that the temple would never feel like home. The council watched him with quiet unease. Mace Windu, stern as obsidian, Ki-Adi-Mundi, voice like ice. Yoda, old as dust, felt the shiver in the Force, but spoke only in riddles. A clouded future, the boy's path is. Yes, even then, the Force trembled. Anakin trained. He excelled. His lightsaber was swift. His piloting unmatched. His instincts too sharp for comfort. And when he closed his eyes, he saw fire. But they gave him no answers. Not about his dreams. Not about his mother. Not about the voice he sometimes heard, a voice like silk and ash, whispering of fate, of destiny, of power not given but taken. And then Padme returned. The Queen of Naboo, now a senator, crossed his path again. Time had turned her regal grace into something warmer, deeper. but still distant. To her, he was a Jedi. To him, she was a memory made flesh. The Force pulsed between them. They were warned, Jedi do not love. Attachment is forbidden. Desire leads to fear. Fear leads to... But no one teaches the Chosen One how not to feel. While the galaxy spun outward in war and whispers, while the Separatists began to stir, Anakin's inner storm brewed. He saved worlds. He ended conflicts. He received no praise. The Council granted him missions, but never trust. They called him dangerous in private and smiled in his presence. Obi-Wan began to worry. He felt his apprentice slipping into silence, but duty bound him too tightly to intervene. And so the temple glowed with light. But beneath its marble floors, the shadows gathered, for the Jedi had forgotten themselves. Guardians of peace, now diplomats. Warriors of wisdom, now generals in waiting. They had forgotten the living Force. They had stopped listening, and Anakin, the boy who was not supposed to exist, listened to something else. In dreams, a hooded figure smiled behind a red veil. In the Senate, a kindly man named Palpatine became his confidant, offering praise where the Jedi offered silence, offering understanding where the Order gave only instruction. They do not trust you, he said, but I do. And that voice, that presence, became a mirror reflecting the growing storm in Anakin's heart. The line between light and dark does not shatter in one moment. It thins, it blurs, and the temple of the Jedi, that sacred tower, did not see that the boy beneath its spires was already beginning to fade, not from lack of power, but from a hunger the Jedi feared to name. Anakin was not falling. Not yet. He was being shaped, and somewhere deep in the temple archives, a holocron pulsed once. Long sealed, long forgotten. Its voice cracked the silence. The Chosen One shall bring balance, but balance is a blade, and blades draw blood. Chapter 3. The Clone War. The false war the galaxy ignited, not from justice, but from deception. 1,000 systems, waving banners of liberty. But behind every slogan stood the cold hand of a Sith Lord. Dooku once Jedi, now Shadow, a count by title, a pawn by fate. His voice spoke of freedom, but his eyes mirrored death. War, crafted in secret, was unleashed as prophecy foretold. And the Jedi, they became soldiers, robes traded for armor. Meditation replaced by strategy. Lightsabers no longer tools of peace, but weapons of attrition. The grand army of the Republic, millions of identical men, born of Camino storms, marched to their deaths with programmed loyalty, and beside them strode Anakin Skywalker, no longer a Padawan, not yet a master, a general, a hero. But heroism in war is a lie told by the dying. He led charge after charge. He freed systems. He toppled tyrants. He became a symbol, but the Force trembled in silence. Each act of valor carved deeper into him, not with pride, but with loss. Every trooper under his command bore the same face, and when they died, he remembered them all. They called him the hero with no fear, but fear was there, buried under duty, buried under scars. Beside him walked Obi-Wan, now master, now brother, their bond tempered by flame, but haunted still by Qui-Gon's absence. And yet the war pulled them apart. Victory demanded separation. The Jedi scattered like dying stars across the outer rim, and still the Senate cheered. Chancellor Palpatine, hands always folded, always watching, grew more powerful with each day. He extended his term. He bypassed laws. He whispered of safety. The people applauded. But in the Force, a wound grew deeper. Anakin fought bravely, but not for the Republic. He fought for peace, for the safety of Padme, now secretly his wife. He fought to end the war, to end his nightmares. Dreams now came in blood, visions of her dying. Childbirth turned to grave, screams he could not silence. He told no one, not Obi-Wan, not the Council. Only one man listened. Palpatine. The Chancellor became his confidant, his father in truth if not in blood. His voice offered solutions the Jedi would not. There are powers the Jedi do not teach you. There are ways to stop death. The Sith knew how. Anakin did not believe until he wanted to. The Jedi, sensing his unrest, tightened their leash. They denied him the rank of master. They sent him to spy on his own friend. They asked for loyalty, but gave only suspicion. How can you be on the council and not be a master? The question echoed not just in the temple, but in his soul. The Clone War was a lie, a blade with two edges, and both cut Anakin. He fought in arenas of Geonosis, on icy bridges of Auto-Plutonia, through the night skies of Umbara, each planet. A prayer that went unanswered. The Jedi thought him strong, but he was unraveling. The Force no longer felt like a current. It felt like a weight. And, as more Jedi fell, to blasters, to treachery, to their own doubt, Anakin saw only one path. Power, not for conquest. Not yet, but for control. For the ability to prevent what he feared most. The death of Pam. He asked the Council. They deflected. He begged for knowledge. They withheld. Only Palpatine offered truth, or something like it. Darth Plagueis the Wise. The name fell like ash into his mind. A Sith who could prevent death, who could create life. And suddenly the lies of war were not the only lies that mattered. Anakin began to see not as the Jedi saw, not as Palpatine demanded, but as the Force. Twisted, this war was not for peace. It was for transformation, not of the Republic, but of himself. The Clone War was not his battlefield, it was his crucible. And while he fought with blade and fire, his soul was already beginning to split. The Force did not cry out. It listened, because deep in the unknown regions, beyond charts, beyond time, something ancient stirred, a power not yet seen, a destiny not yet fulfilled. And the boy from Tatooine, once slave, now general, stood at the edge of it all, unknowing, unready, but chosen. Chapter 4. The shadows behind the throne Coruscant gleamed in light. But light can lie. Beneath its polished spires and golden domes, the heart of the Republic pulsed with shadows. And at its very center, a single throne, not carved of stone or crowned in banners, but draped in subtlety. Palpatine Sidious, the name he showed and the name he kept. Two faces, but only one will. He played the Senate like an instrument, its voices rising in chaos while his words soothed. He fed fear, nurtured dependence. He spoke of safety while orchestrating war. And in Anakin, he saw not a pupil, but a key. He watched the boy become a man, a warrior, a husband in secret, a father to be, though he did not yet know it. And with each pain Anakin buried, Sidious whispered, "Bomb, you are the only one who can see clearly. They envy your power. They fear your destiny." To the galaxy, Palpatine was a savior. To the Jedi, a necessary evil. To Anakin, a friend. But the dark side never offers friendship. Only binding Padme's belly began to swell. Life stirred inside her, 2 children, twins, balance incarnate, and Anakin dreamed not of their cries, but of her death, suffocation, tears, a whisper of her name fading like smoke. He awoke in cold sweat, night after night, the same ending, always her face going still. He begged for knowledge. He sought wisdom in ancient texts, but the Jedi archives offered only silence. Let go of attachment, they told him. Train yourself to let go of everything you fear to lose. But how can the Chosen One let go of love? And so he turned more and more to Palpatine in the Chancellor's private chambers. A darker truth emerged. The tale of Darth Plagueis, the Sith Lord who had mastered life and death. Anakin listened, heart pounding, hope twisted with dread. He could save others from dying, Palpatine whispered, but not himself. The meaning hung heavy, like a storm about to break. The Jedi Council began to stir uneasily. Mace Windu, forehead furrowed like a battlefield, sensed something unseen. Yoda, silent in his sorrow, watched the threads unravel. They did not trust Anakin, but, worse still, they needed him. They placed him on the council, not as honor, but as a spy. Report on the Chancellor, Windu said, as if loyalty could be split like a coin. Anakin obeyed, but something inside him cracked, not out of betrayal, but of disillusion. The Jedi were not what he had believed. They were politicians in cloaks. Their rules strangled the Force. Their dogma suffocated compassion. And still, the war raged. The Separatists retreated. The end drew near. Victory felt close, but nothing felt right. Padma saw it in his eyes. A distance growing. She spoke of democracy, of freedom, and he looked at her as if she were already lost. The shadows in his mind grew louder. The Force no longer whispered, it warned, but the warning came too late. In the dark of Palpatine's chamber, the mask was removed. I am the Sith, he said, not as confession, but as command. Anakin froze. He did not strike. He did not run, because the truth he had always feared was now the truth he needed. Palpatine was the enemy, and yet he was also the only one who could promise to save Pad. The Council would not understand. They would kill him. Anakin reported it, half hoping for peace, half fearing its price, and Mace Windu went to end the Sith Lord's reign. But the prophecy had already turned. Anakin followed, not as Jedi, not as Sith, but as desperation incarnate, and the throne at the heart of the Republic grew still. The game was ending. The players had danced too long. Anakin stood before the storm, and the Force watched it, did not intervene, because this was always the path, and in the silence of the galaxy's heart, the dark prepared to speak its name. Chapter 5. The night of 1,000 screams. The temple stood silent, its spires dark against a blood-red sky. Coruscant's endless city lights flickered like the stars of dying systems, not from peace, but from anticipation. The Republic was no more. With a scream that no ear could hear, Order 66 was born. Across the stars, the clone army turned, not in hesitation, not in sorrow, but in absolute silence. They moved like machines, faces blank beneath white helmets, blasters raised against the very Jedi who had led them through fire. On Felucia, blossoms turned to ash as Arla fell. On Megiddo, Ki-Adi-Mundi ran into betrayal. On Cato, Plo Koon's ship broke apart in flames. Each world became a tomb, each moment a betrayal. The Jedi keepers of peace died, not in glory, but in confusion. But the worst wound was yet to come. It began with a lie, a promise, a whisper. Only through me can you save her. Palpatine's voice echoed in Anakin's soul as he knelt before the dark side, not out of hunger, but love. Henceforth you shall be known as Darth Vader. The name was a crown of thorns. He was sent not to destroy armies, but to destroy hope. The Jedi Temple burned. Younglings still learning the sacred rites looked up to their savior and saw a monster in a cloak. They called him Master Skywalker. They asked what to do. His blade answered. The light died in their eyes before they could understand why. The halls that once sang with wisdom echoed now with screams. Statues of ancient masters cracked, toppled by fire and fear. The sacred texts of the Force were scattered, burned, silenced, and above it all, Vader walked like a phantom, sword in hand. Mercy extinguished. Obi-1 felt the rupture in the Force, as if a star had died inside his chest. He returned to the temple. Too late, ash drifted through the air like falling snow, bodies of children, silence, stained stone. He saw the security recordings. He watched Anakin, his brother, his son, his failure, slaughter without pause, and he wept, not from grief, from guilt. Across the city, Padme felt it too. The man she loved was slipping into shadow, and yet she did not know why. She searched for him, found him, and he, cloaked in darkness, eyes no longer sky but fire, spoke of peace, of empire, of salvation. He offered her a place by his side, not as queen, but as witness to rebirth. She saw only ruin. He spoke of order, but his voice trembled. With rage, I can save you. But she had not asked to be saved, and Obi-Wan emerged from her ship's shadow, quiet as a wound. Anakin's heart broke again. It was not betrayal by the Jedi that undid him. It was betrayal by the one he loved most. Anger surged, not against the Sith, not against clones, against the man who raised him, against the woman who saw what he had become. The stars themselves seemed to recoil. Back at the temple, the dead did not speak, but the Force remembered, and deep in the hollowed archives, a holocron began to glow. An ancient voice stirred. Older than war, older than Sith or Jedi, the Chosen One will bring balance. But what is balance when innocence burns? The galaxy fell silent, not in peace, but in horror. And in that silence, the dark side claimed its greatest victory, not with a blade, not with a throne, but with a whisper that said, "You did this too. Save her." And somewhere far away, Padme cried out, not from pain, from knowing he was already lost. Chapter 6. The flesh is reforged in Fire Mustafar, a planet where the very ground bleeds. Rivers of molten stone writhe like serpents, hissing, with rage, forever devouring the blackened earth. It is a world of endings and of transformation. Here, Darth Vader arrives, not as man, but as fury unbound. The Separatist Council hides in shadowed chambers, their mechanical voices trembling with loyalty bought by fear. They believed themselves architects of destiny, but they were pawns, like Dooku before them. Like all who thought they controlled the dark, Anakin enters, silent, hooded. The blade ignites a single, terrible line of light. Red dot, they beg, they weep. It changes nothing. The doors seal behind him, and when they open again, there is only death. In that moment, the war ends, and the galaxy does not celebrate. It exhales, but this victory is hollow, for the soul that won it is breaking. Padme arrives, drawn by love, drawn by hope. still believing the man within the monster can be reached. Her ship lands in the ash. She steps out, pregnant, trembling, and Anakin sees her not as salvation, but as threat. He accuses her of betrayal, of conspiring with Obi-Wan. His voice is no longer his. It echoes, twisted. She pleads. Her voice, soft as falling leaves, says, "Only one thing. You're going down a path I can't follow." And then, from the ship's ramp, a familiar silhouette, OBI-1. The wound becomes complete. Anakin's fury ignites, not from reason, from heartbreak. The duel begins, not of blades, but of brothers, on gantries above flame. Through chambers of lava and steel, master and apprentice clash. Obi-Wan pleads. Anakin snarls. The Force wails around them, as if it too is caught in the fight. Each strike echoes like thunder in eternity. They were once two stars orbiting the same truth. Now they are comets on a collision course with ruin. Obi-Wan warns him, "I have failed you, Anakin." But Anakin is deaf, blinded by visions, twisted by prophecy. He speaks not as a Jedi, not even as Sith. He speaks as one who has lost everything. From my point of view, the Jedi are evil. Obi-Wan falters. Not in battle. In sorrow, he gains the high ground. He warns Anakin, but pride, that ancient poison, drives the final step, and the blade comes down, severing legs, an arm, and the last thread of humanity. Anakin falls, screaming. The fire does not wait. It claims him, skin sears, eyes boil. His screams pierce the Force like shattered glass. Obi-Wan turns away, tears unseen, leaving his brother to burn. "You were the chosen one." The words fall like broken scripture. In the sky, palmed mess ship lifts away, her soul already splintering, and beneath it all, Anakin is consumed. But he does not die. Sidious comes. The Dark Master, drawn by the agony, arrives in silence. Clones retrieve the husk that once was Anakin, a stretcher, a scream, a surgery beyond cruelty. His limbs are replaced, his skin replaced with steel. His breath becomes machine, and then the helmet lowered like a tombstone, a hiss, a lock. The transformation is complete. Darth Vader awakens, his first words a cry, not of power, but of loss. "Where is Padem?" Sidious lies. "You killed her." The scream that follows is not rage, but the shattering of what remained, of Anakin. And in that moment, the prophecy fractures. The galaxy bends. The flesh is no longer his. He is now armor. He is now shadow. He is now silence wrapped in fury. The Jedi are dead. The Republic is reborn as Empire. The Chosen One is gone, only Vader remains, and in the dark of the medical chamber, the Force weeps. Chapter 7. The Death of Padme Amidala across the stars. In the sterile silence of a medical chamber, far from war, far from thrones, a queen dies, Padme Amidala. Once voice of Naboo, once defier of tyranny, now lies pale and still. Her breath comes soft and then softer. The galaxy that once bent toward her grace no longer hears her. There are no wounds, no poison, no illness. The droids speak confusion. She has lost the will to live, but the Force knows. Something sacred has been broken. Her soul was tied to a man who no longer exists. He loved her with a fire that burned too bright, and in trying to preserve her, he destroyed her. Obi-Wan watches in silence. He does not argue. He does not cry. He simply holds her hand as two lives emerge from her womb. Twins, one boy, one girl, Skywalker children, born not into light, but into fracture. Leia, eyes strong, heart already quiet. Luke, eyes searching, as if already listening to the stars. Padme names them with her last breath. And then she is gone. Her body remains peaceful, but something greater has vanished, a thread of balance torn. The galaxy does not mourn her, not truly. The Empire rises, the Senate bends, and those who once called her friend lower their heads in silence. Only a few know what was lost. Only a few scatter like embers into the wind. Obi-Wan takes the boy. Bail Organa, steadfast in a galaxy unraveling, takes the girl. Yoda disappears into exile, his voice no longer sought, and the Jedi become ghosts. Palmies return to Naboo. The funeral is a performance. Dignitaries in black, false eulogies beneath royal banners. But her people, they feel it. A quietness in the air, a stillness that had not been there before. In her hands, they place a token, a memory from Anakin. They do not know what it means. Her body glides through the Theed procession, the last queen of the Republic, and beneath the veil of ceremony, the Force sings low, a lullaby of loss, not just for her, but for the dream she carried, a galaxy without chains, a love that could heal, a hope that could endure. Now dust on Mustafar, her name is never spoken again. The man who became Vader locks it away. Padme dies, and with her, the last light in Anakin's soul is buried. He will walk through fire. He will speak in commands. He will crush rebellions and extinguish stars. But inside, beneath mask and machine, a single wound, Feth. It whispers her name. It curses him with memory, and the prophecy dims. Not broken, not yet, but fading. The children live. But their paths are scattered, their destinies hidden. And the galaxy sleeps not in peace, but in forgetting. Chapter 8. The Tomb of the Jedi Order. The temple still stands, a monument to silence. Its towers reach toward a sky that no longer listens. Its chambers echo with footsteps, not of Jedi, but of stormtroopers, and Darth Vader walks among the bones. The Jedi Order is dead, but its walls remain. Black banners of the Empire now hang where star maps once shimmered. Holocrons are locked away, sealed in vaults deeper than memory. Statues of ancient masters, Bastille Alcruk, are toppled or defaced, their names struck from records, their teachings erased, and still the Force clings to these stones. It remembers. Ghosts linger in the cracks. Not yet ready to fade, Vader stands before the council chamber, the very room where he was denied, where he was judged, where they told him he was dangerous. Now he is the judge, and they are dust. He says nothing. The room says everything. Across the galaxy, a purge unfolds. Survivors are hunted. Those who escaped Order 66 scatter like stars into the void. Some flee to forgotten moons. Some change their names. Some, in despair, ignite their sabers one last time and vanish. Vader feels them. He follows their trails like blood in the snow. Each death tightens the dark side's grip. Each extinguished light feeds the cold within him. But in the silence, there is always a whisper. Anakin, he buries it, deeper with every mission, every execution. Every time he stares into a Jedi's eyes before the blade falls. Palpatine, now Emperor, guides the reshaping of the galaxy. Not with armies alone, but with memory. Education is rewritten. The Jedi become villains in textbooks. Traitors, madmen. Conspirators, the Republic becomes myth. The Empire, destiny. And all the while, Darth Vader enforces the lie. But beneath the black armor, the truth, Fest he visits the temple often. Not for nostalgia, not for sorrow, but for punishment. The meditation chambers, now empty. The archives now corrupted. He walks among the halls as if seeking something lost. A voice, a vision, a reason. But he finds only echoes. The Force does not speak to him as it once did. Now it groans, as if trapped, as if waiting. One night, deep beneath the temple, he finds a sealed chamber, a vault untouched even by troopers. Inside, a relic, an ancient Jedi holocron, older than the Clone Wars, older than the Republic. He opens it. A projection stirs, flickering, broken. The voice of a long-dead master whispers, "The dark side is not truth, it is hunger. The chosen one must resist, or all will fall again." He crushes it without thought, but the words remain. They haunt him in sleep. If he sleeps, the Empire grows, fear becomes law, and Vader becomes its face. To the outer systems, he is a myth. To rebels, a shadow. To the Force, an absence. But in the ruins of the Jedi Temple, something stirs. Yoda, alive, in hiding. OBI-1. Alive, in exile, the children, alive. Somewhere, and the Force watches, not with eyes, but with time. The Jedi are dead, but death in. The Force is never the end. It is waiting for a whisper, for a choice, for a child born of silence, and destined for storm, and beneath the temple. A whisper curls through dust. He was not always Vader. Chapter 9. The cold engine of empires pass. But in the shadow of the Empire, time no longer moves. In seasons, it marches, endless, unfeeling, like a machine. The Senate still exists, but only in name. Its voices speak nothing of freedom, only of compliance. The Imperial Code is law, and Vader is its enforcer. He does not govern. He does not advise. He executes. Planets fall silent at the sound of his breath. Commanders tremble at the echo of his boots. He speaks rarely, for his presence says enough. He arrives when diplomacy fails. He departs when no one is left to resist. He is the will of Sidious made flesh, or what is left of flesh. The armor binds him, keeps him alive, but it is also his cage. He cannot feel the wind. He cannot taste the air. He cannot hold, only destroy. He retreats often to his fortress on Mustafar, built upon the very world that broke him. Stone and obsidian. A tower built above lava, as if daring the Force to make him remember. And it does. In dreams, he sees her. Podmum, sometimes she reaches for him. Sometimes she runs. Sometimes she burns. He tries to call her name, but no sound comes from beneath the mask. Only that breathing constant, eternal, inescapable. The Empire feeds on fear. It thrives in submission, but not all yield. There are sparks, cells of resistance, hidden transmissions, smugglers with hope in their blood, Jedi fugitives who refuse to die. And so begins the Inquisitorius, a cadre of hunters, fallen Jedi twisted into servants of the throne. They scour the galaxy for the last embers of light. But even they fear Vader. He trains them, tests them, breaks them. He teaches them not patience, but ruthlessness. He teaches them not balance, but obedience. And when, they fail. He does not reprimand, he removes. Their presence becomes another shadow beneath his. Yet still, the Jedi do not vanish completely. Some remain, not as warriors, but as myths. Whispers in desert caves, glimmers in forests untouched by war. And always, always, he feels them. He chases ghosts, wounds that never close. Each encounter is not victory, it is reminder. For when he faces a Jedi, he faces himself. The boy he killed, the boy who dreamed. The Empire celebrates him, hangs banners in his name, builds warships in his image, but he walks among them like a phantom. His reflection is not human. It is helmet, it is machine, it is silence. Sidious rarely speaks to him now. The Master watches, commands, but offers no more promises, no more lies. He has already won. Vader is no longer apprentice. He is tool, and yet, in the stillness between commands, in the quiet of his castle, he meditates, not to find peace, but to listen to the pain, to the emptiness, to the wound that is forever her name. And sometimes, beneath the hum of the dark side, he hears something else, a ripple, a presence, a whisper in the Force, faint, distant, but unmistakable. A child, born of her and of him. He says nothing. He acts not yet. But the engine of the Empire no longer hums as cleanly, for Vader feels that the dark is not complete, that somewhere in the stars something is watching him, not to destroy him, but to awaken him. And so the Force waits, and so the galaxy holds its breath. Chapter 10. The twins in shadow and light, far from empires. Far from thrones and ruin, the children of Anakin Skywalker grow beneath twin veils, not of power, but of hiding. Leia, born of royalty, raised among diplomats and marble courts. Her father is Bail Organa, senator of Alderaan, man of conscience, keeper of truths he dare not speak. He teaches her poise, how to use words as weapons, how to see lies in law, how to resist quietly. She knows nothing of her blood, only that she feels when others are silent. She senses when justice bleeds. She hears the Force, though she does not know its name. The senators call her willful, strong, fearless, but her strength is not a gift. It is a scar left by a mother she never knew. Luke, hidden on Tatooine, the sand-swept grave of his fathers. Innocence, he grows among moisture farmers, beneath twin suns that burn but never warm. His guardian is Obi-Wan, no longer Jedi Master, but a ghost in exile. He watches from afar, never interfering. He listens to the Force for signs, for warnings, for permission to act, and the boy grows restless. He dreams of the stars, of battles, of fire, and sometimes of faces he has never seen. He does not know who he is, only that something within him does not sleep. Owen Lars tries to ground him, tells him the world is small and that it must remain so. But destiny, once awoken, never forgets. Across the galaxy, their lives unfold apart, like moons circling the same forgotten world. Leia becomes voice, Luke becomes question, and the Force waits. It stirs in whispers. Storms begin to gather. The Empire strengthens its grip. Worlds are silenced. The Death Star, a weapon shaped like a world, a monument to annihilation, nears completion. And still the Emperor does not fear. He rules. Through certainty, he believes the prophecy dead, the chosen one broken, buried within Vader's black armor. But Sidious forgets that blood is not bound by flesh alone. The children are the echo, and echoes grow. The twins do not meet. Not yet, but their choices begin to bend the dark Leia hears. Of injustice, she acts, she organizes, she defies. Luke stares at the horizon and wonders why it calls him, and far away, deep in the fortress of Mustafar, Vader dreams. He does not see their faces, only light, blinding, familiar, unforgiving. He awakens with his fists clenched, his breath jagged. For the first time in years, he feels something like fear. The Force ripples, not with warning, with arrival. The children walk toward fate, though. They do not know it, and the prophecy, buried beneath ash and ruin, begins to breathe again. Not as promise, not as salvation, but as reckoning. Chapter 11, The Spark Beneath the Ashes. It begins with a message, a desperate plea hidden within a droid, carried across the stars like a flame concealed in a child's hands. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. Leia speaks, not knowing the man she calls once cradled her mother's corpse, once watched her father burn. But the Force knows it awakens in motion. R2-D2, ancient witness, wanders the deserts of Tatooine, drawn not by code but by destiny, and so the boy is pulled from the dust. Luke. The name means nothing to him yet, but within him a storm gathers. He finds the old man in the dunes, Obi-1 Odar, older now, worn thin by time and regret. He looks into Luke's eyes and sees both Man, Anakin. He speaks of the Jedi, of the Clone Wars, of a weapon elegant, civilized, of Vader, but he does not speak the full truth. Not yet. He cannot. Your father was a Jedi Knight. He was betrayed and murdered by a young pupil of mine. Half-truths meant to protect, but lies always rot. Luke is drawn in, not by revenge, not yet by wonder, by purpose. But the Force does not wait for readiness. The Empire strikes storm, scour the sands. Owen and Beru, burned, reduced to ash beneath the twin suns. The boy is alone, and so he follows Obi-Wan into the stars. The Millennium Falcon, a smuggler's ship, a Wookiee's growl, a rogue with debts and a scoundrel's heart. Han Solo, Chewbacca, all drawn into the weave of fate. Leia is captured, her ship boarded, her message sent. And Vader feels something he cannot name as the droid carrying her words escapes. Not fear, not suspicion, familiarity. He does not yet know why the name Skywalker will one day undo him. The Death Star rises, not just a weapon, a temple of destruction, an altar built to fear. It destroys Alderaan, a world, a people, a future in a single breath. Leia watches. Her scream remains silent and still. She does not break. The spark survives. Luke arrives. He rescues her, but not Obi-1 in the black halls of the Death Star. Master and apprentice meet again. Vader and Kenobi. The circle closes. There are no words of apology, no pleas for understanding, only the hum of sabers, only memory turned to fury. And when Obi-Wan falls, he smiles, for he knows he has only stepped aside. He becomes one with the Force, a whisper, a guide, and the boy watches. Luke Skywalker becomes awakened, not in mastery, but in loss. The Falcon flees, the rebellion stirs, and the children, separated by systems, unaware of blood, begin to walk the same path. The Emperor does not fear, but the Force knows. It moves again. The prophecy breathes, not through conquest, through pain, not through Anakin, through the child who still carries his name. Chapter 12. The apprentice of echoes, the rebellion rises, not as an army, but as a question. Can fire be born again from ruin? The galaxy burns beneath the boot of order, and yet hope stirs in hidden bases, in cold corridors where star maps flicker with dreams of impossible victory. Luke trains, but not in temples, not with libraries. His training is the ache of absence, the wound of watching. He hears Obi-Wan in dreams. In moments between breaths, use the Force, trust your feelings. But the Force is not a friend. It is a sea he cannot yet swim in. Still, he follows. YAVIN.A. Battle, a weakness in the Death Star, designed by sorrow, delivered by betrayal. Luke flies, the Force speaks. He lets go, and the shot strikes true. The Death Star shatters, a scream across the void, and Vader survives, spinning into blackness, alone in space. He says nothing, but inside the name burns, Skywalker. He knows it now. The child lives, his child. The Emperor senses it too. He calls it opportunity. A new plan unfolds, not of death, but of conversion. He will come to you. The game changes. Not all battles are fought with fleets. Some are fought with identity. Luke becomes symbol, but symbols crack beneath weight. He seeks answers. He journeys to Dagobah, a swamp world, veiled in decay, where the Force coils thick. Like mist, there a voice in riddles. A creature once grand, now hidden. Yoda. He refuses at first, sees the boy's impatience, his fire, but destiny cannot be denied forever. Training begins, not with lectures, but with riddles, not with strength, but with stillness. Luke runs, falls, fails. He sees visions, a tree, a cave, a duel. He strikes the shadowed figure and finds his own face beneath the mask. The Force does not lie. Only he can bring ruin. Only he can bring redemption. Yoda warns, control, control. You must learn control. But visions cloud Luke's peace. Leia in pain, Han in chains. Cloud City, Tatty leaves. Too soon. Yoda shakes his head. Obi-Wan's voice protests. If you choose to face Vader, you will do it. Alone. But Luke's heart does not bow to prophecy. It follows love, and so. BESPIN. Where betrayal waits, where traps are laid, not for the body, but for the soul. Han frozen, Leia silenced. The saber ignites. Luke and Vader, father and son, unknowing, unready. They clash, not in skill, but in conviction. Luke is bold, but Vader is deliberate. Every strike a test, every blow a shaping. He cuts, not to kill, but to teach. And in the end, he takes the hand. Luke screams, not in pain, but in awakening. Then the truth, I am your father. For words that change. The galaxy. For words that unravel a boy's world. He falls. Literally, spiritually. He escapes, but escapes into silence. Leia pulls him back. But she does not yet know why her touch feels like home. And in the halls of the Executor, Vader watches the stars. He does not gloat. He does not rage. He reaches, not with the Force, with longing son. But the word burns his throat. The Emperor waits, his throne cold. Bring him to me. The trap is set, but so is the hope, for the Force has moved again. The apprentice is no longer lost. He has become the echo of what once was, and the future is no longer certain. Chapter 13. The Throne of Shadows. The throne world waits. Not Coruscant, not Mustafar, but a place darker still. The Death Star rises again, unfinished, vast, orbiting the moon of Endor like a silent god. It is not just a weapon, it is a stage, a place where destiny will bleed. The Emperor watches from its core, his throne of black stone, his fingers curled like withered roots, eyes golden with rot. He sees all, not through sensors or spies, but through the Force. Through hunger he knows. Luke is coming because he has allowed it. Everything is proceeding as I have foreseen. The trap is not military, it is spiritual. The rebellion gathers, Leia leads fleets, Han marches with soldiers. The Ewoks, forgotten children of the forest, rise with stone and courage. They fight not just for freedom, but for breath. And Luke, he walks willingly into the lion's mouth. He surrenders. He is calm. He is ready. He believes not in victory, but in redemption. He believes in his father. Vader escorts him, silent, massive, but something in his steps is different. The name Skywalker now cuts both ways. I feel the conflict within you, Luke. Whispers it, soft. Sure, Vader denies it, but not strongly. They ascend. The throne chamber yawns like a tomb. The Emperor greets Luke not as enemy, but as heir. He offers praise. He offers understanding. And when that fails, he offers rage. The battle rages outside. Ships fall like rain. The shield generator is intact. The fleet is dying, and Sidious smiles. Your friends will perish. Your faith will betray you. Luke resists, but the Emperor's voice is centuries old. It coils like smoke. Take your weapon. The saber ignites, not in hate, in reflex, but the line is thin. Vader strikes. Father and son circle again. Only this time the boy is stronger, driven not by fear, but by love, and Vader begins to yield, not in power, in purpose, but the Emperor watches, gleaming with satisfaction. He wants not one destroyed, he wants one broken. Strike him down, take his place. The duel rises, Luke falls, then rises again. He hides in shadow, but the shadow is in him, and Vader searches the dark. If you will not turn to the dark side, perhaps you will. Leia, the word awakens a scream. Luke attacks, fury unleashed. He strikes again and again until Vader falls, until the saber severs his father's hand, and then silence, breathing, realization. Luke looks at his own hand, mechanical. Clenched in wrath, he steps back, throws the saber aside. Never, I'll never turn to the dark side. I am a Jedi, like my father before me. The words are a spell, the prophecy reborn. The Emperor laughs, and then the lightning comes. It strikes like vengeance. It rends the room, it claws through Luke's body. He cries out, not in fear, but in agony. Vader rises, broken, burned. He watches the boy suffer, and the choice that was always his is made. He lifts the Emperor, the Dark Lord of 1,000 lies, and hurls him into the abyss. Lightning consumes them both. The scream ends a rain, and with it, Anakin Skywalker returns. Not in glory, but in pain. He collapses. The mask cracked, the breath faltering. Luke drags him to safety, tries to save him, but flesh cannot hold forever. Anakin looks at his son. Let me look on you, with my own eyes. The helmet is lifted, and beneath it, not a monster, just a man, old, afraid, free. You were right. You were right about me. He dies, not as Vader, but as Anakin. The prophecy, once thought broken, completes itself, not through power. Through surrender, the Death Star burns. The Empire shatters, and in the firelight of Endor, the galaxy takes its first breath in years. But the story is not yet done, for peace is fragile, and shadows have long memories. Chapter 14. The Ashes of the Chosen One. The Death Star falls, a crown of fire breaking upon the stars. Its ruin spreads across the void, a final breath of tyranny exhaled into nothingness. The rebellion cheers. Drums rise on Endor. Ghosts are banished in song. But Luke does not join them. He carries a body, not a trophy, not a prize. A father, Vader's armor, black, charred, lifeless, still hums faintly with the echo of what he was. But Anakin is gone, and so the son does what the Jedi could not, what Obi-Wan could not, what Yoda feared. He redeems not through combat, through mercy. He builds a pyre. Wood, fire, silence, he lights it. The flames rise, and with them the past. The armor cracks. The mask melts. The shadow is undone. No Sith funeral, no rites of darkness. Only fire and wind. The Force watches, and in the smoke, something stirs. Anakin, freed of flesh, freed of hate, returns not in body, but in light. He stands beside Yoda, beside Obi-Wan, not as Vader, as himself, the Chosen One. He smiles upon his son, the boy who believed when belief was madness, and in that moment the prophecy is fulfilled, not by slaying evil, but by ending the cycle. The dark side is not destroyed. It cannot be, but it is balanced. Luke feels it, not with his hands, but in the marrow of his soul. He has walked through shadow, and emerged unchanged, but the galaxy, it is not healed, it is merely breathing. The Empire fractures, commanders flee, governors fight among themselves. The throne is empty, but the ideas remain. Power, order, control, they do not die with a single death. Leia watches this. Her hands call for peace, but her eyes carry fire. She knows her heritage now, knows Vader's blood runs in her veins, and yet she does not fall. She builds from the fragments of the Senate. A new republic rises, but not all celebrate, some fear. The return of Jedi, some remember their wars, their failures. Luke seeks a path forward, not as soldier, as teacher. He searches for texts, for temples long buried, for wisdom older than war. He will not rebuild the order as it was too proud, too blind. He will build something new. But the Force is not gentle. It carries echoes. It whispers warnings. For deep in the edges of the unknown, something stirs. A hunger not yet named. A darkness that never left. Palpatine may be dead, but the Sith were always more than one man. Still, for a time, peace endures, and in that peace, children are born. Stars are reclaimed. The Force sleeps, but sleep is not death, and the prophecy, though fulfilled, is not closed. Anakin is gone, but his name will echo through all who follow. Jedi.sith, machine, flesh, balance, is not an end, it is a breath. One must take it again and again to live. Chapter 15. The Temple without masters. The Jedi Temple lies in ruin, not in stone, but in spirit. Its towers may still cast shadows on Coruscant, but its heart was silenced long ago. The voices of the council, Mace, Kiadi, Plo Koon, gone, their echoes swallowed by fire and betrayal. Luke stands beneath the stars, searching not for them, but for what they forgot. He has no map, no doctrine, only the Force, and the Force is quiet, not absent, not cruel, simply waiting. He journeys, two worlds forgotten even by the Jedi, to Ilumware, the Kyber crystals still sing beneath the frost, to Ossuswa, ancient scrolls turned to dust, to Octuare, the first texts were etched into stone. He does not seek power, he seeks memory, for the Jedi Order had become a monument to its own pride, a palace of absolutes, a fortress of fear, disguised as wisdom. Luke sees the fracture, and he dares to begin again, not with laws, with questions. What is a Jedi without war, without armor, without chains of prophecy? He listens to the living Force, the breath between stars, the will between choices, and it shows him pain, visions of futures not yet real, of students lost, of temples burning, of his own hand raised against blood. The Force offers truth, but never comfort. Still, he builds, stone by stone. Word by word, he finds learners, children who feel the hum of life, the pulse of light. He teaches them not control, but clarity. He warns them of the dark, not as evil, but as shadow, a part of the self that must be faced. He speaks little of Anakin, but when he does, his voice dims. He was not a monster. He was a warning, and so the temple rises, not a city, a sanctuary, a place where balance is sought, not imposed. But balance is not permanence. It is motion, and far beyond Luke's sanctuary, new threats stir. Fragments of the Empire gather in the dark. Admirals, zealots, worshippers of the Sith legacy. They speak of resurrection, of revenge. The name Skywalker is whispered again, not in reverence, but in fear, and the Force begins to stir uneasily, for deep within its tides, something ancient watches, not Sidious, something older, something forgotten even by the Jedi. Luke feels it like a storm on the edge of thought. He meditates, seeks. Yoda's voice, Obi-Wan's comfort, Anakin's forgiveness, but they do not answer. They are gone, and he is the last of what was, the first of what may be, and so he waits. Within the temple without, masters, he knows this is not the end. It is the breath before the next darkness, for the Force never rests. It waits in silence, in prophecy, in blood, and when it moves again, it will call not just to him but to another, one who will rise not from lineage, but from obscurity, not to repeat the old story, to end it. Chapter 16. The blood that binds all things in the currents of the Force. Blood is not merely biology. It is echo, thread, wound, and the Skywalker bloodline is a scar across the galaxy from Shmi. The mother who bore without father to Anakin, conceived not by love, but by will, or perhaps by violation of nature itself. Some believe it was the Force, others something darker, a Sith manipulation, a ritual gone too far, a prophecy sparked not by destiny, but by blasphemy. None can say, not even the Force, for even it recoils from the moment of Anakin's conception. But the bloodline remained, Luke, Leia, and others, perhaps, scattered, hidden, forgotten by name but not by bond. The Force remembers all who carry it. Luke seeks no heirs, no empire, no legacy, but the blood calls. It calls to those who feel lost. It sings to those who dream in silence, and across the stars, in backwaters and scrapyards, on moons that know no sunlight, the Skywalker legacy becomes myth, half holy, half cursed. Some seek it, to worship, to destroy, to become. But what they find is never what they expect, for the Skywalker line is not clean. It is not heroism. It is not darkness. It is fracture. Anakin's fall, Leia's burden, Luke's solitude, even the name, whispered now, carries weight. It is both savior and doom, a name to rally behind and a name to fear. And yet, the blood does not rest. Leia, too, feels the Force, though she never trains, never lifts a saber in ritual, but she listens. And in silence she understands. She carries not only Vader's shadow, but Padme's flame, and within her, a new life stirs. Ben Solo, a child born of peace, but shaped by legacy. From birth, the Force coils around him, not as friend, as Testot. He is watched by Luke, by Leia, by voices that long to steer him, but the Force does not allow stillness. Ben is not Skywalker in name, but the blood knows, and blood is not gentle. It remembers pain. It passes on what is unresolved. Luke senses it. Darkness in the boy, not born but inherited. And so the temple opens again. New students gather, new teachings take root. But Ben, he does not grow easily. He is powerful, but power without purpose is hunger. Luke sees the signs, and the Force shows him a vision, a blade, a scream, flames he fears. And in that fear, the cycle stirs. Once again, a Skywalker is tested, not by enemy, but by himself. Ben sleeps uneasily, and beyond the veil, something ancient smiles. The Sith are gone, yes, but the dark side, it waits. For cracks, for pain, for blood, and the Skywalkers bleed endlessly in that blood. All things are bound. The prophecy was never just about Anakin. It was about the wound he would leave behind, and the child who would dare to stitch it, closed. But wounds resist healing, and the Force is not finished yet. Chapter 1:7. The fall of the last light. The temple burns, not in fire alone, but in silence, in betrayal. Ben Solo stands at its center. Smoke coils around him like prophecy fulfilled. The students, some flee, some fall, some kneel, and in the blackness, a voice whispers with the promise of purpose. But Snoke is not origin, only mask, only extension. Beyond him, something older breathes, a hunger untouched by time. It has no face, no name spoken in daylight, only this, Palpatine. His body is gone, but his will lingers, rooted in science, in Sith alchemy, in the unseen regions where truth dissolves into nightmare. Ben does not know this, not yet. He only knows he was lied to, that the legacy he inherited was poisoned. He becomes not Skywalker, not Solo. Ren, a name forged in loss, a title steeped in shadow. The mask he wears echoes of Vader, but it is a mockery, an imitation of pain, not its understanding. He believes he is finishing what was started, but he does not understand what Vader became, only what he was. Luke vanishes, ashamed, defeated, not physically, spiritually. He retreats to Octu, the first Jedi temple, not to meditate, not to plan, to die. He seals himself in ritual, closes the force around him like a tomb, and the galaxy feels his absence as it once felt. Vader's presence Leia remains. She becomes general, not Jedi, not queen, something in between. She feels her son's pain like a blade pressed just beneath the skin, but she cannot reach him. Not with armies, not with love. The New Republic crumbles. Its foundations, soft with comfort, blind with optimism, are shattered by the First Order. A child of the Empire, a mirror of the past, and in its heart, Kylo Ren burns, not in loyalty, but in longing for identity, for place, for absolution through power. The Force stirs again, restless, searching, and it finds another, a girl, no one, abandoned in the sands of Jakku. She does not know her lineage. She does not seek the past, but the Force calls to her as it once called. To Anakin, she touches Luke's saber, and the saber remembers visions, voices, pain. The Force awakens, not gently, but violently, and Kylo feels it. A girl, he cannot explain his fear, his curiosity, his rage, but the old patterns begin again. The hunted, the hunter, the spark, the storm. Luke remains hidden until Rey finds him, and when she does, she finds not a master, but a grave. A man buried beneath guilt, haunted by the failure of blood. He refuses her, refuses the saber, refuses the call. It's time for the Jedi to end. Not out of bitterness, out of belief that the cycle must break. But Rey persists, and the Force moves again. Luke returns, not with ships, but with illusion, a projection across the stars. He faces Kylo, not to fight, to remind that legacy is not destiny, that power does not absolve suffering, and when Kylo strikes, he finds only mist. Luke dies not by blade, but by choice. He dissolves into the Force, peaceful, complete, a Jedi at last, and the galaxy shudders. The last light has passed, but its echo remains. Chapter 18. The dream beyond the shadow. The Force is quiet, as if mourning, as if waiting. Luke Skywalker is gone, but not lost. His body fades, but his voice lingers in the breath between stars. Rey feels it, Leia hears it, even Kylo remembers it. The war continues, but something deeper moves beneath the surface. Not a clash of fleets, but a fracture of identity. Kylo Ren sits upon the throne of ruin, supreme leader in title, but not in peace. He has everything, and yet he is hollow, haunted not by enemies, but by himself. For Anakin had a son, and that son forgave. But Ben Solo has no forgiveness, not for others, not for himself. Leia calls, through the Force. One last time, a whisper, a mother's breath, woven with sorrow and love. Ben. And the darkness pauses. Kylo falters. Not because he is defeated, because he is seen in that moment. Rey strikes, not to kill, to end the war. She impales him. His body bleeds. His soul does not. She heals him, not because he deserves it, because it must be done, because the cycle must break. Ben awakens, the mask shattered, the name reclaimed, and for the first time since childhood, he feels light. It hurts, but it is real. The Emperor returns, not truly alive, but not dead. A clone, a puppet, Arevenant, held together by science and blasphemy, by Sith rituals so foul they stain the Force itself. He offers Rey a throne. Her lineage, now revealed: Palpatine, not Skywalker. She is the blood of darkness, but she chooses none of it. She takes the saber. She hears the voices. All the Jedi, Anakin, Luke, Obi-Wan, Yoda, they speak as one. Rise, she stands, she resists, and with the strength of generations, she ends him, not with rage, not with hate, with sacrifice. Ben returns. Limping from shadow, he gives his life to restore hers, and vanishes into the Force, a Skywalker not by name, but by choice. He dies not as Kylo Ren, but as Ben Solo. Rey buries the sabers. Anakin single quotes, is Leia single quotes, in sand, in silence, in memory to blades, two legacies. She does not take their name in blood. She claims it in spirit. Rey Skywalker. And as twin suns rise once more, a new cycle begins, but not one of war, of balance. For the prophecy never promised peace. It promised the return of harmony. Anakin's life was tragedy. Luke's was burden. Leia's was endurance. Ben's was redemption, but Rey's is choice. And through choice, the Force breathes again. Not as war, as whisper, as wind, as the dream beyond the shadow. The dream that the Force, forever watching, forever weeping, might one day be whole. The UND.